If you've ever wanted to walk in VR with your actual legs, not using a joystick, then stick around because we're showing the Freeaim VR shoes. This is our pro version, and I'll talk about the consumer version later. We've gotten a ton of comments from people asking us to use the shoes in VR chat. Sorry for taking so long, but here they are working. This is the Steam VR version. We're also working on Quest standalone support too, and want to eventually support other platforms, such as PSVR. In this video, I go to a bunch of different worlds, and since I'm a big Mass Effect fan, most of the worlds are places from that universe. I noticed while editing this video that I'm at the back of the mat a lot in this footage, so if you see that, just be aware that I must have repositioned where the center of my play space was actually near the rear of the mat and just not noticed. So yeah, if you see that, don't worry about it, that's all it is. I'm also going to be answering a bunch of questions and show some comments that people left on our previous videos. So let's get started with that. But before I start, I actually have a question for all of you, and I should be showing the timestamp where I asked that question. So if you have time, we'd love to hear your feedback on that question. Thank you. Okay, first question is about the consumer version. So it's, I love VR, but this is the first time I am interested in a product that makes movement more realistic in VR. It just looks way more simple and comfortable than all the other options I have seen. I hope you guys release the consumer version soon. I will definitely consider buying them. So we are planning on releasing the consumer version later this year. So if you want to be notified of that, you can stick around and subscribe to our channel, or you can sign up for our newsletter on our website. All right, next question is, so what happens when you try to sprint in the shoes? Like actually sprint? And then there are a few other questions from this person, but I'll start out with that. So on every video, somebody asks about basically running or sprinting, and I'll show footage here of the fastest that these shoes can go. So you can go at a pretty slow jog or a fast walk with the shoes. They don't support sprinting, they don't support a fast run at this time. So if you try to sprint with the shoes or run too fast with the shoes, you're eventually going to go out of your play space. So this is why you should still rely on the VR Guardian boundary to keep yourself within the space. Next question is, are there any events that are upcoming in Europe? And maybe towards the end of the year, but for the next several months, no, we don't have any events in Europe coming up. We do plan on attending AWE, which is in Long Beach, California in June this year, and we are probably going to go to an event in Chicago as well, and when we have more details, we will release that to you. Alright, next question is, do they only work with Steam, or do they also work with games from the Meta PCVR store? So that's the PCVR store, not the Quest standalone store. And the answer is not yet, but we are planning on adding support for that so that they can work with any OpenXR runtime that is on Windows or PC, not just Steam VR like it is currently, but anyone. So the virtual desktop runtime should also work. That is on our list, and we will get to it eventually. Okay, next question is, will there be a way to scale speed of in-game movement so that you can, let's say, be walking in the shoes but running in the game? And we already have that feature. We have a Steam VR menu that you can open up while you're in Steam VR, and you can scale the in-game speed to be faster or slower. So we already have that. We have some other features too, such as a hip-based walking movement, where you could be walking forward, say, and then you look to the right, but you will still be walking forward. So it's not just purely the direction you're facing, it's the directions your hips are facing, and that is based off of basically taking the middle of where your feet are pointing, because that is normally where your hips are pointing to. So we also have basically like head decoupled or hip-based movement as well. Hip-based movement has been especially helpful in, say, competitive VR shooters like Pavlov or Contractors, where you need to really be looking around all the time to make sure that you don't get shot and that you see the enemy before they see you, but you want to be moving in one direction. And that conveniently leads me into the next question, which is, hello, I would like to know if it's possible to play Pavlov or Contractors with the consumer version of the Freeaim VR shoes. Specifically, will I be able to perform strafing and jumping movements properly? Thank you. So to answer that, unfortunately the shoes do not support continuous strafing. The Pro version of the shoes has rotating drive modules underneath so that if you take a few side steps and then you start walking forward, the shoes can actually move you sideways. So that's what they can do now. For jumping, we don't support jumping. The shoes can handle if you get startled and you jump, they can handle an impact like that. We've done testing to make sure of that, but we don't recommend doing that on a regular basis. I do want to mention too that we are working on having gestures for these kinds of movements. So you can put your foot out to the side to strafe, or put one foot back to go backwards, even though we plan on supporting actual backwards walking in the future. or lifting both heels rapidly, so kind of doing a pseudo jump to trigger jumps in games. So the two questions I just went over made me think, and now I actually have a question for all of you, or maybe more of a discussion. I want to discuss normal use of VR treadmills. People have asked about running, strafing, jumping, and other movements like that a lot in our videos. But when I have watched different streamers, different streams, and YouTube videos of regular people using VR treadmills, I've noticed a bit of a trend. When I watch long streams of people using VR treadmills normally, and these are experienced users of VR treadmills, the vast majority of the time they are just walking. And I don't think I've seen someone actually jump or strafe on a VR treadmill outside of a promotional video for that treadmill. If someone is making a video where the goal is to show off the treadmill, then yes, they'll do those kinds of movements. But during streams, so normal use, I don't really see much more than walking most of the time. Additionally, when I watch streams, most of the streamers are actually frequently using the joystick, especially in competitive shooters when they are trying to aim at an enemy or they're trying to dodge an enemy. They're going to be using the joystick a lot, and they're using the joystick a lot to make frequent little movements, little corrections and that sort of thing. Even if the VR treadmill itself supports foot gestures and they could use those instead, I still really just see them using the joystick for that kind of thing. For the VR shoes, we specifically avoided using the joystick almost completely in our videos because we want to show how well the VR shoes work. And we would love to support all kinds of locomotion and all kinds of movements with the shoes, but I'm sure you're aware that there are challenges. With your continued support and supporting our consumer release, I'm sure that we can eventually get there and have something as close as possible to Ready Player One or the Star Trek holodeck. But anyway, my point is, when I watch regular use of VR treadmills, I see mostly just regular walking while frequently using the joystick. If you have a VR treadmill, or you regularly watch VR treadmill streamers, is this your experience? Because I could be wrong. Maybe I just haven't watched enough streams. What is a normal, not promotional, normal use of a VR treadmill to you? Additionally, there are lots of people who are happy with walk-in-place devices, like natural locomotion. These devices basically let you do gestures with your legs to move in the game. So you walk in place, or maybe you do a little jump and you actually jump in the game and that sort of thing. So a few questions to all of you. How important do you think movement like strafing, jumping, and running are? What does normal use of the VR shoes look like to you? What do you want normal use of the VR shoes to be like? Are you okay with using the joystick sometimes or using gestures? Or do you want a more, let's say, pure, completely natural experience that doesn't involve the joystick or gestures at all? Really interested in hearing your opinions. Alright, after all that, let's go to the next question. So this person asked if they are sprint worthy and if there's a timeline for the consumer release. So I already went over those questions, but they also said they've been following our progress and they are very much impressed and love the concept. So thank you very much. Next question is, in every video, every time you shoot, you stop moving. I know it's hard to aim, but could you try shooting and moving at the same time to see what that looks like? So we do have videos where I show that, and you can check out the video where I play High on Life, where I'm frequently walking and shooting at the same time. And then we have 3 or 4 videos where I'm playing After the Fall, and in that game I'm also frequently walking and shooting at the same time. So check those videos out. Alright, the next couple comments are just positive comments. So the first one is, I'm always hesitant to invest money, I don't have a lot, into VR tech as we're in the infancy stage, but these shoes are something I can't wait to buy. So thank you. And then the next one is, if y'all keep developing these as a concept further even after release, I could seriously see this as a very revolutionary technology. There really is nothing else like it, and its applications are numerous, from simulations and VR to exercise and training, all within a condensed area which people need more and more nowadays. Ugh, I'm so excited for these, and I'm always telling people about them. Keep up the great work. So thank you for that. Alright, and the last comment is someone just saying, whoa, I can't believe you featured my comment in this video. And I'll leave it at that. So if you also want your comment featured in a future video, be sure to leave one below. And if you liked the video and want to see more, I'm pretty sure you know what to do at this point. So, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.